Y'all really testing my patience. Right before I blow up the spot, I had to get back to the basics. What if my talent is wasted? And see what I'm lacking the placement. Thought since I rap in the basement, but my come up is legend, just greatness. I don't care now, it's pedal to the metal. I can never quit now, I will never settle. Puppet to the game, I'm pulling strings like Geppetto. We in the same game, but I'm on a different level. I passed it. Gotta keep grinding till I'm laid up in the casket. No fake round, but you feeling too plastic. Yeah, y'all feeling too plastic. They say my style crazy, but then it's straight jacket. Wow.
Why you still testing my patience? Trying to turn me into something I ain't trying to be. All the hate is in heavy rotation. You gon' lose yourself, quit testing me. Don't make me lose my mind. Don't make me lose my mind. Don't make me lose my mind, cause I'm looking like Wesley, test me. Don't make me lose my mind. Don't make me lose my mind. Don't make me lose my mind, cause I'm looking like Wesley, test me. Cause I'm looking like Wesley, test me. Don't make me lose my mind, cause I'm looking like Wesley, test me.
Yeah, guess I know no better. I ain't got no chill, so they call me a devil, I know. Look, I am just a man on a mission. If I want it, then I get it, I go. And if you're trying to test me a beast, you gon' need Liam Neeson. The chance that you taking is flagrant. You're testing your luck. If you think you make it out, then you're sadly mistaken. Careful what you putting your stake in, cause I ain't got no patience and no limitations. You trying to figure me out, and I know I don't make sense, but no one's there when you call like you're trapped in the Matrix. You need to take a break from it. I think you should take 6. Cause yes, I hold a throne and no one else can replace this. The pain will only go deeper the harder you chase it. I'm the greatest that you ever met. It's time that you face it. So tell me,
why you still testing my patience? Trying to turn me into something I ain't trying to be. All the hate is in heavy rotation. You gon' lose yourself, quit testing me. Don't make me lose my mind. Don't make me lose my mind. Don't make me lose my mind, cause I'm looking like Wesley, test me. Don't make me lose my mind. Don't make me lose my mind. Don't make me lose my mind, cause I'm looking like Wesley, test me.
What is up, party people? You know I always start this show off by showing love to those companies who help make this podcast possible. Guys, BLUON is at it again. If you guys have not heard, BLUON has dropped the 2.0, and they literally did listen to everyone's feedback. They already had an amazing app with all the additions they put in as far as ordering parts, etc., all that stuff. Me talking to them, several other people talking to them, saying, hey, we need to make it a little bit more simpler. It's too many clicks. They went back to the drawing board. They literally, something they already had that was good, they went back to the drawing board, and they simplify it to make it so it is so very simple. And to celebrate this launch, you guys know that BLUON gives away some amazing swag. They have these new limited edition hats. So if you go to the BLUON app, I need you to update your app first and foremost. Update it. Make sure it says BLUON 2.0. I want you to go into the model numbers, and I want you to put in this part number. I will put it in the chat. Rookie, if you're listening, if you could put this in the chat for me, it would be great. It's all caps. It's going to be model number GSX HAT 4, the number 4, U. GSX hat for you. You'll literally see a hat pop up. Keep going through with the order, and you will get your hat, man. There's only 30,000 hats available. There's literally like 150,000 people in the BLUON community, not counting everybody else. So go do it immediately. GSX HAT, the number 4, U. Put that in the model number. You'll see it on top as the first part. Click on it. Go through the process. See how simple it is to order something. It's amazing what they did, letting you get a free hat this way and seeing how easy it is to order something. Get your free merch and support BLUON because they are upgrading the HVAC industry. Next. Guys, my friends over at FIELDPULSE, dude, they are really, like, I give it to, they have a young crowd over there that is really trying to get their name in the game, and I think they offer a really awesome CRM. They really do. What they're doing for people, they've won awards for customer service. And I'll be honest, I know there's a lot of big boys out there that you hear their name, and I get it. But, you know, Not everybody can afford those big boys. You want the features, but you don't want to pay that monthly subscription that comes with, thousands of dollars and all that kind of stuff. Well, I have to say, man, Field Pulse is offering that. I'm always completely open and honest with you guys. We do not use them at Beltway, but I've had a demo account ever since I've started messing with them. I'm going to make some videos of me using it, and I literally mess with this thing all the time. I make fake calls. I got a whole fake company that I'm running here, and it's really neat. I actually really, really like some of the stuff they're doing. If you use my code, so if you click the link, it should be in the bio of this all the way at the bottom for Field Piece. If you click that link and you go, they're going to give you 25% off an annual prescription, and then they're going to give you 10% off the monthly subscription. So if you do it annually, 25%. If you do it monthly, they'll give you 10%. This is only good for May. They're changing it every month. So if you're interested in it, if you're not small business owner, whatever it is, and you're not liking what you're currently using, please go check out Field Pulse. Missed a few weeks, so we got to pay the bills. Just relax there in the chat. We'll be with you shortly. My friends over, wrong one, at COMPANYCAM. Guys, COMPANYCAM has their blueprint event that actually one of them should be going on right now. So I was supposed to be in Denver and all these other places, but I didn't go. God damn it. But anyway, if you go to companycam.com/blueprint, you can go, you can see the events, or you can also just watch them online. It is very, very good if you're trying to up your game, if you're in the trades. All kind of amazing guest speakers, different workshops that you can even participate in online. It's definitely something really good to check out. COMPANYCAM is an amazing service that I didn't even know you needed until I started messing with it. Organizing your photos, your videos, putting them in a thing that keeps track of them and organizes them, and it covers your ass, man. We all know how it is working in the field. You have to cover your ass, whether you're in commercial, industrial, residential, with the things that you do, the things that you say. Somebody comes back, you have a video or a picture that is, time-stamped, it's dated, exactly when you were there, exactly when you took these photos, before and after, whatever it may be. And this keeps it all nice and organized for you. Not to mention, it helps your photos go on your Google search, your GSLA. It helps you, pictures pop up when people are searching HVAC near me and they search images. Your photos are going to pop up. Obviously, you can pick which ones do that, so you don't have some shitty job. Hopefully you don't have too many of them. But they will pop up and customers can see your work and say, hey, I want these people to do my job. So only good things. Remember, you can go to companycam.com/HVAC Uncensored, and they will give you, you get 50% off your first 2 months, and check out COMPANYCAM. All right, enough paying the bills. Let's move on. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. God bless the United States, and thank you to all those men and women who defend it.
Five, four, three, two, one, go.
Welcome to the #1 rated HVAC podcast. If you're looking to grow in the HVAC industry, then you're in the right spot. Blue-collar people talking about blue-collar shit. Let's get better together. So turn up the volume, buckle your seatbelt, and let's welcome your host, Gil Cavey Jr.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the HVAC Uncensored Podcast. I'm your host, Gil Cavey Jr. Sorry, looking at the wrong camera. Another Wednesday night. Hopefully some people start coming in. I know I had those 2 weeks where I took off and it kind of messes people up. And one thing about these podcasts, man, you got to be consistent. So that's on me. Thank God the audio downloads have not taken a hit. So thank all of you for being here this Wednesday. Hopefully, some more of us come in. I appreciate you guys. So, hello to Mr. Rookie, Mr. Jason Johnson, Mr. C. Young. What is up, my man? And then Mr. Adrian, Reliable HVACR. What is up, guys? How are you? Another good show tonight, man. This is a guest that I had on recently, and we had so many things to talk about, man. When me and him were talking on the phone, it was like, you got to come back, because it was just so much happening. And as we know, an hour flies by fast. So I wanted to get him back on, get on here and talk about some more stuff that they're doing. And just the whole topic in general is a good topic to have. I think everybody has an opinion on this topic, whether it's good, bad, or ugly, but it just shows that we're passionate about what we do. We're passionate about our trade, and we're passionate about the next generation that is to come. So without further ado, guys, help me welcome Mr. AKA Pork Chop, Mr. Jimmy Hesbach, HVAC teacher. Let me switch some cameras here. Hold on here. What's up, brother?
What's going on?
Same old Shiza. Real fast, guys. I did the whole restart the echo cancellation. Does everything sound good? Before we keep going, I tried to do this beforehand. I even told Jimmy, I said, let me click this little fucking button on and off to make sure we're good.
Testing 1, 2, 3, 4, echo.
Testing 1, 2, 3, 4, echo. Clear as a bell. That's what I want to hear. All right, cool. Well, what's up, my man? I guess if everybody says no echo sounds good. Awesome. Thank you, everybody. I guess, Jimmy, if God
Perfect.
forbid, can you hear me?
I can hear you. I'm just trying to find the chat button. I can't see the chat on my line.
Oh, if something pops up, I'll reach it. Sam Andrews said Trump is live on TV. That's one factor. Hey, never mind. I was going to say, if everybody that watches me is watching Trump, I am perfectly okay that they're over there. Not that I want to piss anybody off, but just saying, just throwing that out there. Anyway, Jimmy, God forbid if, well, first, all of you in here, I'm pretty sure you guys remember the last episode with Jimmy teaching at the school in Virginia. We did the walkthrough and all that. So how are the guys doing now in school? How's it going? I know you got some new tools for them. So what's up? What's the update at school?
So since the expo, when we first met, talking with a lot of vendors and stuff, Yellow Jacket has come through and sent one of 2 digital gauges. The second one's coming to adult ed. The first one went to day school. UEI has come through, and they have sent a set of their wireless probes and 2 meters and 2 temperature probes. That went to day school as well. I gave that to them. And the day school teacher is loving it. We do a tool night every year. Every semester I do a tool night up at the local carrier. The guys basically get tools at 10% above cost. Well, I have a budget on my account for school. I took some of my money. I bought them the FIELDPULSE micron gauge, the NAVAC micron gauge, the NAVAC vacuum hose, the NAVAC valve core tool. I bought them the NAVAC hand swedger, the hydraulic one, and the regular hand flare tool. So they have some more tools to play with for day school. So my day school teacher, Will, was astounded and loved the fact he got all these new toys to play with.
Awesome.
So the guys, we spent, I think, $8,000 that night in tools for students.
Fuck yeah, that's badass.
Yep, and we did a plumbing tool night for the plumbing a month later, and one of the guys, he spent a lot of money, but the total for that night was about $15,000.
That's badass, man. And you got to have nice new stuff. And let's be honest. So I get it that, the tools don't make the tradesmen, but most of everybody in here, I think Sam's a little bit newer, but most of that, everybody's in here in the chat right now and us here. We've been in the trade for a little bit. And do you need certain tools to do your job? No. Are they nice to have? Goddamn right they are. You know what I mean? If you do this every day, it's nice to work with good stuff and cool tools. And when I was still in the field, I used to have a couple of tools that I might only use them twice a year, but you know what? If they made my job easier twice a year, they were worth having on the truck. You know,
Oh yeah,
and plus it's cool to
and you
get
know,
pumped up about that. You know,
the tool is nice having the proper tool for the job, and having new tools that make your job 10 times easier is great. You know, I went from the old school Yellow Jacket flare block to the Hilmar flare block to the Navac battery flare, and literally either mine or the other technician's flare kit goes on every mini split job from here on out. And we've compared flares with everybody, and out of all of them, the Navac one, it has the best flare, and everyone loves using it. We've reflared a ton of stuff, and mechanical closets with branch boxes and everything else. Multiple, like 15, 20 leaks, and we just go through there and reflare every single joint in that room and get it done in like 30 minutes.
that's awesome. See, now I feel like the old guys. Back in our day, we didn't have these battery-powered tools. We had to do it all by hand back in our day. Yeah.
Yeah, I was one of those. I was one of those deals. So one of the nice things we do to the day school, the night school students, we have the old beat and swedge plugs. We have those where the little smack it with the hammer, bust your knuckles, and we have the old Yellow Jacket flare blocks. We make them do that for a night. So they go, oh my gosh, he's like, one of the guys like, oh, I have the drill ones. Like, that's fine, bring them in. We'll test your drill compared to my stuff, and we go through a challenge to see who has a better swedge or a better flare. They lose. You know, I will tell you this: as a 24-year technician, I have easily $10,000 plus of tools on my truck that are my personal tools.
Dude, I got
And
$10,000 sitting back here.
but it's to me, having the right tool makes my life a whole lot easier. We're actually gearing up, so for school wise, we're actually gearing up to end the semester. We end the May 22nd and 23rd. Those are our last 2 nights of class. Right now, everyone's in exam mode. We got this Thursday and Monday, we're doing CFC testing for English, and Monday and Wednesday, we're doing CFC testing for Spanish next week. So we got 4 nights of CFC testing coming up. I got my final exam on the 18th. Second year's doing their final exam, I think, tonight. So we're winding down, which is nice.
How much off time do you have before another gang starts?
We will be off from basically that night there, 23rd, until about the second or the third or fourth week of August.
Oh, nice.
Because the fall
break.
Yeah, the fall time is a little worse for us because we don't have spring break in there, so it's a straight shot through. So we don't have any. I don't get that nice little week vacation to go, and relax for a week and just not have to worry about teaching. But it is what it is. We enjoy it. I've been doing it. This fall will be my 15th year teaching.
Awesome, dude. That's awesome shit. Congratulations. It's like I said before, man. I mean, I love what that school's doing. I love what your school's doing. I love everything about it. What they're teaching, how they're teaching it, what you guys provide, and then the cost for what they're getting is like absurd. And like we said before, man, not to go down this rabbit hole, but I hope that I would like to find that there's more schools out there like that maybe we just don't know about them. But I hope that they're out there doing these kind of things, and it's not all the big boys that we hear all the horror stories about. There's got to be more others doing it right. At least I would like to think positive and think that's the case,
Yeah, and see, so I've posted on the Facebook HVAC Army page, and we'll get into Army a little bit tonight too because I want to talk about that a little bit. But I posted on there. One of the guys told me I should talk about how bad schools are. I told him, I said, I really can't do that because there's legality issues of that. So, but I will say this: I have a coworker. He went through a college course, and it cost him $15,000 to go through their HVAC program. And I said, man, I wish I'd known you. I wish you would, wish I'd known that. I said, I would have cut that cost to less than $1,000. So he's like, really? So when he actually started teaching with me, he teaches first year, and he loves teaching first year. He loves it. It's great. Trevor's been in the field for 7 years, and he's teaching first year. And he saw the price of what we charge the school, and he saw the education that we give the students, and he's like, it's nowhere near what we learned where I was at. We learned a fraction of what you guys teach out here. And I told him, I said, this is basically what it is. Now, tonight, I think Warren again. I hope he was doing brazing, and one of those guys had a massive leak on the joint when they dug it in the bucket. That's the thing we do. You do braze the joints. We dunk it in the bucket, make sure it doesn't leak. If it leaks, go back and fix it.
That's good. Well, it's funny. So I'm going to ask you a question, but I'm going to say this real fast. So we hired a new guy. We stole him from one of the big companies because they were asking him to do unethical things. The guy's a little bit older, but this guy is a fucking steal. We are so happy to have him. Has the communication skills, and he knows his shit when it comes technically. He actually was teaching at one of the bigger schools around here. I won't say the name of them. But I asked him, I said, so what are the qualifications to be able to teach there? And he was like, 2 years and an EPA certification. I was like, you haven't even got your dick wet being in 2 years. Like, how the hell can you teach somebody else? So I was like, man, I was kind of dumbfounded. So, I mean, like, I don't know. Am I wrong? Like, what kind of qualifications, like how much time or what do you have to be able to, teach?
So basically, this is how it went for me. I'll start from my beginning. I started September 99 doing HVAC at a new construction company. In 2000, I switched. Then in 99, I switched and worked for another company. They sent me to first year. After first year, I didn't go to second year. I switched companies again in 2001. Went back to that same company in 2002. I went through second and third year through 2002. So at that point there, I'm 3.5 years in the trade. Warren, he teamed me up with a guy named John, John worked for Pepsi. Well, John worked on, the little Pepsi machines and stuff. He really didn't have a lot of the knowledge of HVAC versus refrigeration. And Pepsi says, we'll give you $1 raise for every class you pass. Well, I was in John's class. So John and I teamed up together. We've been friends since then now. Him and I, we have our own way of talking, but Warren had me with him, and I was teaching John on top with Warren. So 3.5 years, essentially, I would say I'm in the field. Warren says, hey, I need a second-year teacher. I'd like you to teach it. I think you'd be good. So I'm 3.5 years in teaching it. So I taught from 3.5 years for another 5 years. So 8 years in, I was teaching for that time frame. To me, it's your lead instructor has to be the one to find the qualified people that he can trust to teach the program. So now that I'm the lead instructor, that I've been back, I became the lead instructor. I weeded through some people who were not good. Like one guy, he worked, my boss found him. He worked for 2 weeks and just up and quit. So then I'm teaching 4 nights a week for an entire semester. So I got second and third year entire semester. So one class had me twice. But yeah, so that's what I did. But I've been doing it for so long. So it's like when I needed a new teacher for first year, I went to Trevor and said, hey, I know you taught over at that place for a little bit. How would you like to teach here? You got a baby on the way. This will help you with some extra money, income, and everything else. He said, yeah. So he applied. He got the job. I've got Chris Dalton. He teaches second year right now. And then last semester, we had so many people in first year. We actually had to basically have 2 first-year classes. So at that point there, I'm like, okay, I need a second first-year teacher. So I looked to one of my other senior techs, Kevin Newton, and said, hey, man, how do you feel about teaching school? And he was like, well, what am I going to teach first year? I said, right now, I just got so many students, we need to have a second class. So he taught second year. He taught first year. He moved up and is now teaching second year with them. Now, depends on how things go this semester. If we might have 2 third years next semester. We might have 1 third year. Kevin is he says, if you need me, I'll teach it. If not, that's fine. So, but Kevin is a valued asset to the program because he's been doing HVAC for 25 years also. So I tried to find people to teach that's been doing good. Lewis, who teaches the Spanish program, he came through my class. So the fact that of course, he speaks Spanish fluently, but he also does English with the accent. So he does the Spanish classes, and he's been doing great with that. He's been finding guys for the Spanish stuff. I said, look, you find instructors to teach the Spanish side of it that you trust to help you with that. You're in charge of your division. I just, I'll oversee you. You need something, you come to me. Other than that, you're on your own. And he's been doing great doing that. I mean, when he has a full class this semester, 21 guys.
Nice.
So we generally we've only had in the standard English side, I've only had to not have a course 1 semester because I only had 2 guys sign up for third year. I didn't have a first year teacher at the time. And it was just so late in the season to find a teacher. I said, look, cancel third year. I'll teach first year. And I rewrote the program for first year and gave it. Then when Trevor came on, I go, here's your binder like this. All your tests and quizzes and everything you need is in it. So he had it just, here you go, run with it.
That's badass. And Lord knows I love your test. The test you made for me. Those things have been a fucking godsend. And I guess that makes sense. Like if somebody goes through the program and graduates with flying colors and then goes in the field for a little bit and comes back, that makes sense. I guess when I just heard 2 years, you didn't have to graduate from that place, just 2 years. I'm like, man, not saying there's not some good the guys that have been in 2 years and might be really, really good. I just feel like for a school that, especially a big school, the standard should be a little bit higher.
Well, there's a difference. So we'll talk about that difference here. So to teach day school, so keep in mind, we have night school and day school. I'm night school. We are considered instructors, not teachers, because we don't have the teaching degrees. Because we're technicians in the field, we're considered instructors. Day school, you have to have your master's to teach here in HVAC or plumbing or electrical. So you have to have that master's certification. And then you have to go do some college credits to get that teaching certificate. And then you're considered a certified teacher with that. But you have to have a master's to teach. At one point, I looked at trying to teach day school, but because I didn't have my master's, but I've been teaching night school for so long, they were like, we'd hire you if you had your master's. They're like, okay. So this year, 2 weeks ago, I finally got off my rear end, got all my paperwork together, and submitted to take my Virginia Masters.
Nice.
So I'm waiting for them. I'm waiting for them to approve my Masters for Virginia. Once they approve it, I've already got the books. We have a prep course for school we use. I'm going to have the login myself. And actually, Kevin, he's got his journeyman's. He's going to sit and take his Masters. Trevor, he's got the years to do his journeyman's, so he'll go sit for his journeyman's. Us 3 are going to sit there and study together. And one of my former students, he's going to sit in with us because he's taken the test 3 times and failed it. So we're all going to sit together, do this on Saturdays. And I called my buddy over at Henrica, who I used to work with. And when we get to the point where we're stumped on something, he'll come in on a Saturday for us and help us out and get through those stumps of the code book on kitchen hoods and stuff. Unless you're doing kitchen hood stuff, you're not really going to be familiar with it.
Yeah. See, one thing, so I have I have Maryland master's license and I'm a master gas fitter. Ryan, who's been on, the owner of Beltway, Ryan's got his Maryland, DC, Virginia, Delaware. So it's good for you. See, DC and Virginia reciprocate. Maryland, since Maryland does everything so fucking stupid, they don't. But if you go get a Virginia, matter of fact, if you get your Virginias, you can reciprocate and have Maryland, DC, and Virginia by only taking 1 test. But Maryland's so stupid, you can't do that. We would have to go take the DC test, and then we can reciprocate to Virginia. And Delaware was and obviously we're probably not going to Delaware. It's just to have it. There you don't even take a test. It's like a bunch of old white men sitting around a table and like, this guy's worthy, give it to him. Click. You know. But yeah. And Ryan's the ones that need it. I don't even use my license because I don't have insurance on it because it's Ryan's company, so all the licensing goes through his. I could technically, rent mine out to people, but I did that back in the day when I was a knucklehead and did some stupid stuff. So now I don't do any of that. I don't rent it out to people. I don't need money like that. So
Yeah, there's people that do that stuff. Now, I will talk about this. So everyone knows our worst enemy in the industry is an inspector. Inspectors are our Darth Vader. We cannot stand inspectors. We hate them. They are the worst people out there.
I have a story
I
about
was
I dealt one today. Sorry. I dealt one today. I'll talk about it later.
I was an inspector for 4 years. So when I notified some companies and some people that, hey, I'm going to go work for this county as a mechanical plumbing inspector, the one comment I got from one of the owners of a company was, thank God we have someone who knows what they're looking at now. And I looked at him and I said, you know what? That's the other thing. I know what I'm looking at, so you can't bullshit your stuff anymore. And he started laughing. I mean, I did inspections for people that I knew personally. It didn't affect our friendship whatsoever. I went and did inspections for my old boss, and we're looking at it. He says, he goes, I'm going to call you Mr. Hesbach or Mr. Inspector. Just call me Mr. Wells, just because I don't want this guy thinking you might be in my pocket, or just because we've known each other for so long. So not a problem, Chip. So we go through, and so everything inside looks great, and go outside and go, Mr. Wells. He goes, yes, sir. I said, do you have any locking caps in your truck? He goes like, no, I don't. And he's like, why? I said, your guys didn't put locking caps on the unit. He's like, he goes, all right, well, go ahead and fail me, and I'll get them on there. I said, okay, are you sure? He said, yeah, okay, not a problem. So I failed my old boss right there for not having locking caps, at his request. But here's the thing. To be an inspector, you're not required to have a master's. You're required to have 4 years in the industry, and they'll train you on how to take the exams. So depending on your locality, like where I was at, I did mechanical plumbing, residential, and commercial. So mechanical plumbing and gas, residential, commercial. I took 4 exams: residential mechanical, residential plumbing, commercial plumbing. Those are my 4 certifications. Gas fell in under mechanical because that's where the gas stuff was. And some of it fell under plumbing too. So it covered me on both ways. So I was an inspector for 4 years. Now, if you were in my area and I knew you personally, I've known how you are, I'm going to be harder on you than I am someone who I don't know, so I don't piss them off. In that case, things happened, and I failed a company for taking 4 mini split heads and tying them into 1 3/4 copper drain line. We all know in the field, when you tie drain lines to end together, you're supposed to increase it 1 nominal size.
Yeah, I was gonna say you can tie them in, but you definitely got to increase the drain size.
But because it was in a commercial application and it was under 25 tons, because they used 1 outdoor on the 4 heads, they considered it 1 system, not multiple systems. And I tried to explain to them, it's 1 outdoor with multiple indoors. Each one runs independently. It's not the same as a standard system, and you're supposed to increase. Well, they didn't like that. And it was above a plenum ceiling, so they would have had to go from 1.25 inches copper to catch all these drains. And they did not like that one bit. So because I was being too hard on them, they cried, and I was asked to leave. And I said, well, versus being fired, can I resign? They said, sure, not a problem. So I was able to resign from the county as an inspector. But yeah, that's what got me back into the industry, was I had to leave the inspector position. But I love being an inspector, don't get me wrong. I mean, I got guys that say, man, I miss you as an inspector. You were great. You were one of the greats. I did my stuff. I took care of people. I did stuff. I helped them out, and that's what I did the same thing here. I got people who call me up on the phone asking for help still. Friends, students, coworkers. I call coworkers. We all help each other out because at my company we're a family versus just we're out there for our own.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And most of the inspectors that I've met, most of them are cool, especially the guys that have been in the trade, they've been in your shoes, man. It's like, hey, man, like you can't do this, but if I was you, if you run it like this or do this, like everything will be fine. I'll pass you. It's all good. Or I've seen some say, if they know that we do good work, they'll be like, hey, just fix this. I'm going to pass you. Just when I come back for final, just please make sure it's done. Yeah, no problem, man. You know that. But in Anne Arundel County, there's everybody knows him, and I'm gonna say his name because I don't give a fuck. Ernie, fucking Ernie. I swear we all think his wife beats him. That's a whole nother story. He's a nice guy. He'll be nice. He just nitpicks the stupidest shit, man. I had to meet him today, and he was saying, he's like, how when you're taking flex and you're making a turn with it, like our guys did it perfect. Like it's not kinked. Like it goes to the wall, it loops around, it looks fucking mint. And he's like, oh, that's kinked. I was like, Ernie, I was like, feel it. I was like, do you feel a kink? He's like, no, it feels good. And then he didn't say anything. He's like, but I don't like it like that. I'm like, it's not fucking kinked, Ernie. Like it's, I'm like, okay, you want me to cut it out and put a fucking metal elbow in? That's what I'll do. Whatever you want, man. And I thought I was going to be good. And something we normally don't let do because it's under our permit is the contractor did the dryer vent. Well, when they did it, they drilled through floor joists. And they did it too high up top. And he's like, oh, well, that's going to be structural. You can't do that. I get why they did it, though, because if you come down any lower, you're going to go across and then you're going to have to go back up to go outside. Then you got to put in a clean out. Then you're creating a trap. That's not going to work. So we ended up failing. So now we got to figure out what the fuck to do after the place is already closed. And I was like, apparently when we came there the first time, they ran it in like that flexible pipe, which I do think that's dog shit. You got to run it in, hard pipe, tape, no screws.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay. I was like, why didn't you say that last time you were here? Like, why did you say, oh, looks good, just redo it in hard pipe? Now you come back and say, oh, it can't be that way. Like, why are we finding this out on final? Like, that's what pisses me off. So, I don't know. And then with the inspections, like, it used to be like I was all fine with inspections because you get inspections and it's like, hey, you know that I'm doing it per code. I got a second set of eyes that is double checking me. Like, nobody can ever come back and say, hey, you didn't do this right. Like, no, man, we did that to the fucking book. That shit was inspected. We did it right. Now around here, it's like, oh, even if you pass inspection, oh, well, we're not liable. You know what I mean? Like, even if you pass inspection and we sign off, it's like, well, then what the fuck are we getting it for? You know what I mean? Like, what is this? Just like money changing hands? Like, I don't know. But I will say most of the inspectors around here that I know, that I've known from my dad, awesome guys. These guys know their shit. Very, very cool dudes. And I love having them as assets. They're literally in my phone. That if something happens, like I called one, he's going to call me back tomorrow about this whole vent. And I said, hey, man, I need your help. I know it's not your county, but if you could tell me what to do with this. And he's like, I got you, buddy. I'm tied up in meetings today. I'll give you a shout tomorrow. So these people are great assets to have. Just sometimes it's fucking frustrating to have those certain guys with, like, it's kind of like cops with a God complex. You got some inspectors like that too.
Oh yeah. Yeah. So, let's get back to the nuts and bolts. So, trade schools, y'all. I will tell you this. There are trade schools that are good, and there are trade schools that are bad. You have to do the research, okay? Some of these colleges do trade schools in certain areas, and it's not like where I'm at. We're one of the few areas that still do trade school through the county school system. So with that being said, if you're looking for a trade school to send your employees to, you're looking for some sort of education to do that with them. Do your research. Go through, find out talk to guys at supply houses. Say, hey man, where'd you go to trade school at? What can you tell me? And they'll tell you. they'll tell you flat out, I went through here, I went through there, was it good? We'll talk to each other and tell each other all the time. I talk to people all the time at the supply houses and ask them, say, hey, where'd you go to trade school at? When I hear that they're new in the trade, like, oh, well, I'm thinking about going over here. It's like, hey, before you go spend that multi-$1,000s, come look at my program. And they go, you have a program? I said, yeah. I tell them where I'm at. Like, Chesterfield has a HVAC program? I said, yeah, we have an HVAC program. Really? And they're mind blown. I said, Richmond has one too, but if you want to come to mine, that's more than welcome to. And, they'll end up showing up. And like I said, I had that one guy, he sent his employee, the guy learned more and been doing so much better. They're out there. Some places, unfortunately, all you have is the colleges. Like you were talking about the one trade school you sent them out of state for. That's fine and dandy, sending stuff like that. But I would like to see more localities, more guys looking for smaller trade schools. Send a guy, go out there, talk to them, see if you can come observe their night for a night, see how they do things. And if it's something you want to have your guys go do or something you want to go do, sign up for them. The small local trade schools, generally, to me, I think are the better ones than more of your national trade schools, like your colleges, because colleges are just looking at this right here. That's all they want. We're looking at
they have that bullshit curriculum too, where they have to follow it, whereas you guys can dictate your own curriculum that you think is right for getting the guys out into the field. That has its benefits too. So, sir, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but we talked about that last time.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just a matter of finding out. I can change my curriculum to anything I need to. Like next semester, I'm rewriting part of my curriculum because we finally got a boiler. So I'm dropping 2 weeks of this and of one thing, and I'm adding 2 weeks of boiler class. So we're working on getting a boiler up and running and started up and everything else. Now, I'm going to do this. I don't know if Jennifer's on here. I think we got 13 people. I can't see the chat. So hopefully Jennifer's in here. Or Valentino. She says you're going to be here. Jennifer SkillCat. SkillCat's an app. It allows you to do your own training online at your own pace. And as you're doing it, it also gives you skills to use. So you have to perform skills to show you do the stuff, send pictures in and everything else. So if you're working for a company and they don't have a decent trade school in your area, check out SkillCat. Jennifer has been doing great with that. Let's see here.
He has a master's in YouTube HVAC. But
yeah,
while you're talking about that, Rookie made a comment that I think that you would like to hear this too. I'll put it back on the screen. Trade schools are good for learning theory, but can't replace hands-on training. Well, good schools give you that hands-on training. So that's what we're trying to talk about, is a school that only teaches you theory, in my opinion, is not a good school. Yes, you have to learn the theory, but if you don't also learn the hands-on, like when Jimmy and his school was showing you, they were putting tools in these guys' hands, making them do things, so they were getting the hands-on training. So to me, that's what we're talking about between, really good trade schools, okay trade schools, and shitty trade schools, is based on the curriculum, what they teach, and having that hands-on portion. I'll let you give your opinion on that.
So, Rookie, here's what we do at my school. So in first year, we teach them how to braze with B-tanks. Second year, we teach them how to wire systems up. We have an electrical training board. They can go through and wire things up. We also have them build a board with 4 light sockets, a defrost board, a sequencer, a thermostat, a transformer, defrost board. I think I said that already. Basically, they have to build a heat pump circuit out of these wires, and they have to build it with auto schematic. So they have to basically wire all this stuff up from what they've learned in class. Oil, I give them, if you're got oil in your area, I give them nozzle. I give them a burner assembly, basically just a nozzle assembly. I give them the nozzle assembly. I have one guy mess up the electrodes, and I give them the stuff. And I said, here's the tools, set the electrodes. I make them set the electrodes and learn how to set it. One guy's like, oh, I can set it by eye. I said, fine, set it by eye. We'll see how close you are. He was off. You know, and you always get that one person, oh, I can do this in my sleep. Go ahead and do it in your sleep. I make them pull heat exchangers out, and even though the top, there's no coil there, I don't let them grab from the top. They have to pull from the front. I make them strip it down to nothing, pull the heat exchanger, set it out. I look at it, say, okay, put it back in. I make them put it back in. So we make them pull the heat exchanger. I make them pull blower motors. You pull the blower motor apart, take it all the way apart. Other person takes it and puts it back together. Yes, hands-on training is critical, and we do it. We do that. We make them.
Somebody was giving you a thumbs up.
I see that. Thank you, Chris. So in first year, they actually also recover refrigerant, pull a vacuum, and recharge it. So we make them do that as well. Those are some of the things we do. Oil. Right now, I'm waiting on one sensor for my back rat to show up. I showed him the old school pump way with the little dial and flipping the thing around to check the oil combustion analysis. But once I get the other sensor in, we're going to hook that up, and I'm going to show them as you're adjusting it, you can see the change with the digital back rat versus the analog back rat, basically, as I call it. I have 2 oil burners on a cart, one Riallo, one Beckett. I have a tube, I put it over the end of it so they can see what it looks like in a heat chamber burning for them, so they're not going that crazy going, oh my gosh. Overcharge, yes, we do. We will put little faults in there. We'll take the TXV bulb and pull it off the coil so it does and insulate it and keep it warm so it doesn't get the temperature change, make it act like a bad TXV. We'll put cardboard over top of coils. I have no problem taking the coil door off and blanking off half a coil on a furnace so they can't, like, what's going on? Like, I don't know. You got to figure that out. I take my bore scope this year and find the crack in the heat exchanger. You know, here you go. Here's your bore scope. Find your crack. So we make them do hands-on stuff. It's not like they're not doing it anything else. So we got 2 nights, 11th and 16th right now, because I got guys testing for CFC out of my class. We're going to start doing some boiler stuff, uncrating the boiler, talking about the parts and putting some stuff together on it to get it set up for everything. We're going to put a Takeo 3-zone control on it with 3 pumps. I've got standard water radiators right now. My next purchase is going to be an Aquatherm air handler to put on there. And I got someone working on getting me some old cast iron radiators. So we'll have 3 zones, 3 different types of products that produce heat to go with it. Ice machine. We had a night, we did an ice machine cleaning. We broke down the little ice machine, showed them how to clean it, showed them the part, showed them how it operated, put it back together. So these are things that they wouldn't see normally at a regular HVAC company, an ice machine. You know, I try to give them the most experience of all. Now, geothermals, we have one company in our area that is nothing but geothermal. They're the geothermal kings in our area. But I know my company touches them, and I know several other companies touch them. But I give a week of basically, here's the concept of a geothermal system. Here's how it operates. I have a system there. I open it up. I let them see the compressor section, essentially. And they're baffled that these things don't have heat strips. Like, they're not required to. You don't need to, because it's not going to need a defrost cycle. And that really throws their mind. We watch videos on how wells are drilled, what kind of loops you have. We do a lot of stuff like that to give them a well-rounded knowledge of every part of the trade. In my class, we'll go through and do oxyacetylene brazing. I did a little TikTok of them doing that the other night. And people are like, why is such a long flame? I said, well, we're just starting out. They're just learning how to light the torches and starting. And then after I let them play with it their way for a little bit, I go back and show them the proper way again. And they once they get that, understand how to adjust the torch properly, they braze a lot better. Then I show them what it's like brazing with nitrogen versus brazing without nitrogen. And then their eyes are going, oh, wow, that's a huge difference. I'm like, yeah, when you braze with nitrogen, you can see how clean the inside of the pipe is going to be, which keeps all that crap from going into your system.
Yeah, damn right. And that's awesome that you guys do all that. And like I said, that's one of the differentiators, the separators of courses. So, guys, we all like we get it. Schools can only be so long because guys want to get in the field, they want to make money. But I think that's what makes the good schools is, teaching you the theory at the same time, giving you the ability to do the hands-on, to be able to apply what you're learning. Obviously, when you get done school, you get in the field and you keep doing all that stuff and you keep learning even more. But I really think that does kind of set it apart. You got to see it. Like I remember when I went to school, and I only went because, you know, my dad thought it would be good for me, and it was. I definitely it helped with some theory things, even though I had already been in the field for a little bit. But when we took our like electrical parts of HVAC, the normal teacher was like out sick or something. I forget what was happening, but he wasn't there. So we had an electronics teacher teach it. And he was like having us take off like resistors and put them back on and all these other things. And I'm thinking like we change boards, man. Like we don't change resistors on the boards. And I just felt like it wasn't that it wasn't cool to learn, but I felt like he just went in um, a little too in depth to stuff that you really didn't need. You know what I mean? We went down a rabbit hole, and we could have spent more time learning about amps and other things that you would actually use in the industry versus taking this resistor off and changing the resistor because we just don't do that. At least not nowadays.
Yeah, and no. And another thing is, a lot of your schools don't teach a crash course in duct design. So I give them a crash course on how to use a duculator for 3 hours. Show them how to use a duculator, how to read it, and everything else. And I draw a house up on the board, and I mark where all the vents are and everything else. And I have them calculate it, and I have them basically figure out what size pipe, how you're going to darn it, where you're going to put your leads and everything else. I do that old school version, 600 square feet per ton, everything else, just to give them a crash course on the stuff and how to use these tools. And then on the following night, we go in the shop. I sit there, I will take a flat piece of metal and I will turn it into a box for them right in front of their eyes. I'll show them how to do it. And I'll talk to them about the different ways of me doing it by hand, measuring and everything else, where other companies use plasma cutters and throw stickers on there and tell you, and then that person has to go break it up and do that and beat it together. I'm personally old school. I'd rather just measure it out, draw it out by hand, mark it up, cut it, bend it, Pittsburgh it, put the hobo on it, and build it right there. We talk about the sides of the duck hammer. There's 3 sides to a duck hammer. There's the square side, the flat side, and the point side. A lot of guys, they're so used to using the flathead screwdriver and the hammer to beat the hole. I'm like, really? I'll take the hammer, turn it, draw a circle, and whap, and pop the hole right there. And they'll go, oh, wow, that's what that's for? Yeah, that's why it's called a duck hammer. So you can pop your hole, twist it, make your hole, throw your slips in there, cut your hole out, and be done with it.
Yeah, and I'll be honest, the way I came into the industry, I sucked at ductwork because I started off with my dad in restaurants. So I did all like commercial kitchen equipment, refrigeration, commercial AC, stuff like that, some electrical, plumbing, taking care of a restaurant chain. And then went out, worked for just strictly commercial companies, and then backed my way into residential. I didn't really do any duct work. I eventually learned some, and I can do it now. I wouldn't even consider myself to be even close to a duct guy. I mean, I'm not a moron, so I can put some things together. But I wish that I would have been better with duct work earlier in my career. Like I got guys that work for me, that work for Beltway, that are installers. They'll knock that shit out. They're just like, oh, and I'm like,
Yep.
oh, nice. I gotta sit there and be like, all right, +1, -2, all right, plus, you know what I mean? I have to think about it, because I'm not confident in my ability to just knock it out because I didn't do it every day. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, and that's the thing. People that if you don't mess with ductwork all the time, you have to go back and do something. If you're not used to it, it takes you a minute to remember how to do the stuff or to get your hand back on track. but yeah, it's one of those things where that's what my general manager loves about me is because I started out as a new construction install helper.
There's Jennifer.
I have gone. Jennifer's finally here.
Yep, sorry. Hello, Miss Jennifer.
I got to do this real quick. HVAC chicks. There's my third call out.
Nice.
But yeah, HVAC chicks is Jennifer's program she runs. She is doing amazing with that stuff there because, like I said, she's got the HVAC chicks. That's her thing. She does the skill cat as well. So if people are not sure that don't have a good thing there, hit Jennifer up with skill cat on that. But yeah, I got guys that just like I said, my general manager loves it because I started out as an install helper on new construction. I went from helper to running a crew on a new construction property in a neighborhood. Then I went to an installer for another company, and me and the guy that I used to be friends with, we worked together so much that we were doing 2 installs a day at 2 different houses. We were rolling through stuff. We did a coil, a compressor, and 5 service calls in 8 hours. I mean, 9 hours. We were rolling through some stuff back in the day. Then I worked for the other company. Then I went from it back to like an install helper. And this is how I got my start as a technician. I was on a job doing an install, and the service tech was arguing with me about not pulling a vacuum. He wanted to purge and go. And we got into an argument on the job. The homeowner called the office. The office spoke to me. Office spoke to him. Office spoke to me again, told me to pull the vacuum and start it up. I got back to the shop, and he handed me the key. He says, "You're our new service technician."
Yeah.
and that was in the year 2001 is when I became a service technician. Not even two and a half years in the industry, I became a service tech, and I was a green junior service tech, but I picked up on it quickly. I went back to the other company I worked at before, back to installs. Now this is me wanting to be better myself. On the weekends, I was friends with a lot of the service techs, so when they were on call, I would ride with them. I'd give up my weekends to ride with them when we were busy. And I would sit there and follow them on the service calls. We'd be in the truck, and I'd watch them. And after a couple weeks of this, I said, "Hey, let me run the call." He's like, "What?" I said, "Let me run the call." He's like, "Okay." So I said, "Stay in the truck. Let me run it." He's like, "You sure?" I was like, "Yeah." So I would go up, I'd run the call. And if I had a question, I'd get them. And I started running calls on the weekends. I'm not getting paid for it. They're getting paid. They actually, at that point there, reached out, after a couple weeks of doing that as well. They went to the boss and said, "Hey, throw him in service. He has got it." Like, what do you mean? He's been training on the weekends on his time and running calls on his time with us techs to do the stuff. And he has the knowledge. Put him in. And it took them stepping up to help give me that nudge to get into service full time. And that's where I've been ever since.
Nice.
Since end of 2000, middle 2003, installs and service. Then 2004, service completely.
That's badass, dude. That's a cool story. We have to be careful when we vape. Fucking Adrian's in there saying that we're loud. So I guess we have. There you go. Mine's quiet. He's the one he's got that big fucking muffler over there he's sitting
on. Is that better, Adrian? It's bad. I'm on the phone with my boss, and he has me on a speaker, and I hit that thing on the truck, and I can hear my dispatcher back on, "Stop hitting your vape." They're like, "Oh, really?" And I'll purposely get right close to that speaker and hit it again just to aggravate her. I'm that kind of guy. What can I say?
Yeah, I was gonna say this one is a little salt nick, but it's actually been helping because I can get stronger nicotine. Yeah, I used to have one like that with those juices, but these I can get like 50 milligrams, and it actually slows down my smoking because obviously you guys know my mom has lung cancer, so I'm trying to slow down smoking as much as I possibly can. So far, so good. We'll see. Mr. Vinny, what's up, my man? I can't wait to see you next week, brother. Vinny's coming to see me. We're going to have Vinny. I'm taking Vinny to the strip club. Well, probably going to go seafood, then strip club. But I don't worry. Secretly, Mr. Peter's paying for this. Just don't tell him. Just kidding, man. But I can't wait for you to come, bud. It's gonna be a good time. My whole team is very, very excited for you to come, bro.
Good old Vinnie Mac in the house.
Yep.
Yeah. It's Vinny is a cool cat. I actually, since Vinny's here, I helped a buddy of mine do an install, and it was on a Bosch system, and the guy just called us, and we couldn't catch the problem. The other guy was out there twice, and I went out there because I was off work early, and I caught the problem, and I picked up the phone and called BLUON up, and I was like, I hope I get Vinny. I hope I get Vinny because I know he's done the Bosches. I hope I get Vinny. And I hear BLUON tech support. This is Vinny. How can I help you? I said, Vinny? Yes, Vinny. Hey, man, it's Pork Chop. So we had about an hour conversation. He helped me walk me through this problem. It turned out to be the circuit board on the outdoor unit. And the supply house screwed up. It took longer than expected to get the board, but I got the board. I put it on, and it's been running great ever since. So, Vinny, I want to thank you, man. You've made that customer happy by helping me get that diagnosis out.
That's awesome. Sorry, I had to laugh, man. Fucking Jason Johnson, one of my boys who's always in here, he said, I stopped smoking cigarettes and picked up smoking crack. It's so much better, and I always have extra parts available. That's why when you were talking, I read that, and I started fucking laughing because it was so funny.
I wish I could see this stupid chat, but I can't. I cannot see it anywhere on my screen.
Yeah, it's because you're on the phone, man.
Well, I had it on last time on my phone. I had hit one button. I could see the chat. It's got the two screens. It's got you and me, and it's got the bottom screen. And I can see there's 13 people in here. And that's about it. So yeah. I don't know what's different about this one than versus the other one we logged in onto last time.
It should be the same thing. So I'm not sure. I don't really know how it works on your end. I've never been on the other side of this. And then Vinny said, I said take him to the strip club, and then get seafood then a strip club. He said, can't we get it at the same place? I don't know if you want to do that around here, man. Like I said, we're known for seafood, football, and heroin and syphilis. So I'm trying to make sure you leave and don't have mushrooms on your wiener. So we might want to keep those separate.
But yeah, so I mean, for everyone out there who's watching, there's trade schools. Find one that works for you. And that's the best thing I can tell you on that. There is another thing I want to get. That's another thing I want to touch about. That's dear to my heart that we do that I'm a member of. Is the HVAC Army. We've got a Facebook page with that. You've seen it. You've been on there posting stuff before. Facebook took away our ability to have the mentor program on there, but we're still doing it. So if guys can message any of the core members if we're there. One of the things I will say about our page is we do not like having people put down other technicians on our page. We're there to be a support group to help people out. I'm fine and dandy with that. There's another set of guys. They call themselves HVAC missionaries. They're all young guys in the trade. We're a bunch of the older guys in the trade. So we're two different types of groups. So I've got nothing bad to say about them. They seem to be doing good with what they're doing and how they are doing it. And that's fine. I'm happy they're doing some stuff and helping trying to get more people in the industry. For us, we're trying to basically we're more of like a united tech support group for people. So if people have problems or need help, they can message me. They can message any of the guys out there that do this for a living and say, hey, we're looking for help. And basically, this is how it works. One of the guys, Justin, who's a core member, he was working on an LG system, could not find a circuit board through his supplier for the LG mini split. He put it in our group chat. Hey, can someone help me? I need the circuit board for this model number. Aiden, who's in Alabama, she tried finding it, couldn't find it. Sam, who's up there towards Boston, she couldn't find it. I went online, called my supplier. They found one in California. gave me the price. I said, hey, I called Justin up, said, hey, I got my supplier on the phone. I've got a board. I got one board in stock. This is the price of it. He said, get it. I said, do you want it next day or regular? He said, regular. So he shipped it from California to me, to my supply house. I picked it up, paid for it, shipped it from me that same day to him in Texas.
Mm.
I mean, what other group of people do you know are going to sit there and help someone out that needs a critical part that they cannot find, but someone else can?
It's awesome. So I mean, and that's the way it should be. Like I always say about, all these different groups, HVAC Army, and to be honest, that's what I tried to build HVAC Uncensored, and most of the core of my community is my Facebook group. Not so much, just because of the name gets people to act, show their ass. But I think that's awesome. Like I've helped people several times getting different things. People have helped me. It's hey, I can't, especially going through COVID when we couldn't get stuff. It's like, hey, man, I really need this and I can't get it. And it's like, well, no guarantees, but let me see. But
Yeah.
that's what we want to. That's what we want to build in this community. That's why I always say that. I think I'm the newest to the TikTok community, but that's been awesome. But what I've been from the Instagram side, I love it, and I like those two communities and YouTube as well. So much better than some of the Facebook platform, because it's just you get so much negativity, and I hate it. I just try not to surround myself with that kind of stuff.
Yeah, we don't allow that stuff on our page. We, we try to keep it professional. We try to get, we'll put, people post stuff up there like, look at this crap today we had to deal with, and I've done that too. But, we're all about being there to help our fellow techs out there in the industry. We're all about raising them up, helping them out, and, making it a big HVAC industry family, because we are literally hurting for technicians. Okay. And here's the situation. I'm 24 years into the industry. My owners are 40 years in the industry. They're retiring. You have a small gap between that 40 and that 24, 25 years in the industry of people, because we're right grouped with that roughly that 30-year mark of people. So you've got, we're gonna be so short in the next 2 years of technicians, of experienced technicians that are gonna be retiring. So there's not a lot of guys in my area that are 30 years. They're either the 25 years or they're the 40 years. And a lot of those 40-year guys are retiring in the next couple of years. So at that point there, my generation of techs is going to be the seniors. We're going to be hey, we were here with 22, we were here with 410A, and now we're going to be here with the new stuff. We've seen 3 different refrigerants come through our industry for equipment. We've been through it. And a lot of these guys are going to go out there and not see that 22 if they still have them. They're going to see the 410A and the new stuff, so they're not going to understand some of the stuff that we had to go through and work on. We just don't want we want to keep people in this industry. We want to promote them, get them in, and everything. So here's another thing you guys can do that are out there. If you're company owners or you're technicians or seat managers or whatever, my local school system has a day school program for HVAC. The day school teacher, Mr. Wills, he takes his guys. They do an interview day. They do 2 days of interviews, one for even, one for odd. This is the first year we've done it. And basically, the students go through, they meet with HVAC contractors, they talk with them, and then they apply to work for that company. We've had 2 people apply to work for the company. So the boss is going to interview, basically, he's already interviewed them. I couldn't be there because I had things I had stuff to do. He wanted me there, but I couldn't be there because I had obligations that kept me away from going there. But he went there by himself the first day and brought Bucky, the other senior technician, there the second day. And Bucky had a blast. They fed him. He said that was really cool. He'd never seen anything like that. So we're looking at hiring in a high school student once he gets out of high school this year. So he's a senior. He's going to leave high school, come to work for us. We've already done it once with our first helper, Robert. Robert has done so well as coming from the day school program at his high school to working with us as a helper. He can basically run installs now. In the year, he knows how to do the install. He's been working on the outdoors. Now he's working on the indoors. He can do that. We're going to start training him to do maintenance, to run residential maintenances. He can already do commercial maintenances because we run him with that as well. Robert does whatever we need him to do, and he's good at it. Yeah, he's 19 years old. He's young, but we can train him the way we want him to be trained.
Amen.
When you hire somebody who's been in the field 10, 15, 20 years, they're stuck in their ways. And it's hard to get them to do the way of your own company. And that's a fact with every company out there and every guy out there. I'm still stuck in my ways and the way I do things, but I've learned to do ways my company wants me to do them, and they've learned to adapt to how I do things as well. But yeah, look at these young guys in these trade schools. If you're looking for a guy, go to your local high school, see if they have a tech center, see if they have an HVAC program. Talk to the day school teachers if they have them there. Say, hey, you do have any guys that are looking to come into the industry who want to work? Hire them for the summer. Get them in there for the summertime. Put them through that hell of the summer heat. Get them there. If they make it through the summer, they're a keeper. If they don't make it through the summer, then they just don't want to be there. The summertime is where it's gonna test their ability to make it through the industry. If they can make it through the summer, they can make it through the industry.
Yeah, no, I agree. We've done well, man. We have a young crop of guys, Hayden and Jimmy, and they're awesome kids, man. Seeing what they're doing and just see them helping to share their wins with them and seeing them learn and do new things. And, one of them today, called me and, by just him being honest with the customer and talking with them, and the customer was like, he was like, yeah, you know what, man? He's like, I think, this old 22 system, he's like, I think it's about time I finally want to replace it. And he's like, you're a young guy, but you've been sitting in here being honest with me. You didn't try to bullshit me or, tell me anything. And he's like, can you give me some prices on the new one? And he ended up selling his first set. Granted, I worked up the estimates for him, but he sold his first system. The customer was so happy. And he was pumped. So we have our group thread for the service. It's called our fuck yeah thread. And everybody goes in there and gives them a fuck yeah. So it was awesome, man. I like to see them as they exceed in different things, or they're like, hey, I want to change this compressor by myself. Like just seeing them want to do those kind of things, it's awesome. You know what I mean? Like it's like that proud dad moment. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Talk about that. Robert and I had to do a compressor up on a roof at a pool. So we walked everything over. We pulled everything up on the roof. I said, all right, Robert, here you go. And there was a 5-ton compressor, which I'm not hoisting up by hand. So we used our ladder crane, which that thing has been a godsend for us. I said, all right, have at it. He's like, what? I said, there's your compressor. Have at it. Change it. I'm here for technical support only. And I sat back and laid there in the sun and got me a suntan while he worked on doing the compressor. He had a problem. I came over. I helped him out. Went back to suntanning. Yeah, people are like suntanning. Yeah. So for us HVAC guys who do commercial work, we don't give a chance to get to the beach. The beach is our roof. But yeah, so that's how we do things. We'll put him to work and make him do the work so he can learn it, and we're there to back him up in case he has a problem. And speaking of system changeouts, I was at one system's 13 years old. I found the filter dryer leaking in the outdoor unit. Now the filter dryer was in a York Affinity, and it's right there at the base, but the coating over the filter dryer had corroded away, and you can see the oil on the fiberglass base pan right there at the filter dryer. Leak detector went off. There's a leak. Gave the guy a price to replace the filter dryer and repair his system. 13 years old. That's the only problem, guys. Customer looks at me and goes, well, what's it cost to replace it? I said, well, it depends on what we can get, because the new guidelines out with the SEER ratings and stuff, we might be able to do it with just the coil and outdoor unit. We might have to do the furnace and the entire system. He gave us a number to shoot for. Cody, our sales tech, our salesman / owner's son, worked his butt off for days trying to find a system in stock to go. And the problem we had is, because this furnace was 13 years old, none of the newer heat pump coils and outdoor units would match with that furnace for the proper SEER rating. So we went back to him and said, look, we're going to have to replace the furnace. He said, okay. And we were just over, he gave us $11,000 and we were at 12.2. He said, do it. Replace a 13-year-old system off a $2,000 repair.
And be honest, that's how most of them happen. And the way I teach our techs to communicate is, I don't want you to ever bring up replacement, ever. You shouldn't have to. I want you to go. You're not a salesman. You're a fucking technician. I want you to go in there, list everything that you find. I want you to be educated so that everything that you bring up, if they ask a question, you can answer it. And most of the time, that's exactly what happens. You know, maybe you go out and it is pretty rough and they need a capacitor, a fan motor, the coils are dirty, the blower's dirty. And you're like, hey, you know, really what we like to do is could do, should do, must do. That's the 3 options we do in every maintenance. I mean, every service call. And, you know, and sometimes when you get up there and it's like $3,500, the people are like, well, shit, this thing broke down last year. You know, you guys have been here a couple of times. Like, you know, how much is a new one? And a lot of times they'll ask to buy a new one by you just doing your job. You don't have to go in there and be like, well, this thing's 25 years old. You should just replace it. They're like, well, no shit. I didn't call a sales guy. I called a technician. So be a technician. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
it's great.
Yeah. I had one yesterday like that. I had one yesterday. The church called up, said the kitchen wasn't cooling. I went out there, turned it on, walked to the outdoor unit, grabbed the suction line. Suction line was warm, compressor running, liquid line. I saw flashing in the sight glass. I was like, okay, this isn't good. Went back and grabbed my gauges. 410A 2007 system. Put my gauges on there. 36 psi on the low side.
Holy shit!
Now, doesn't the pressure switch supposed to kick out when it hits below 50?
You would think so, but to be honest, there's a lot of them don't have pressure. It depends on what model it is and when I have a low pressure switch.
5-ton York Affinity. It's got a low pressure and high pressure switch.
Yeah, no,
It
they
did not
definitely
trip it out. I put it in the heat mode to check to make sure it wasn't a fluke, and I was same pressure in the heat mode. I shut it down. I talked to the buildings and ground assistant. I talked to the one of the elders of the church that I know personally, and I said, "Look, it's 2013. It's a 2007. It's 16 years old." I said, "Here's the situation. I can do a leak search for about $800 to find where this leak's going to be. I got to add some nitrogen refrigerant to it, pressurize with nitrogen. I got to pull a drop ceiling out. It's going to take a couple hours to get to this thing and do all this stuff, prep work and put back together." So here's what we can do. We can do this and tell you what's wrong with it. If it's the coil, because of where the unit's located in a drop ceiling, you have to pull grid out and everything else, 2 people, everything else. You're looking at about $4,000 probably to replace this coil if it's the coil. And he goes, well, geez. I said, yeah. And let's just say we replace the coil and 2 years later the compressor goes. You're looking at another $4,000. I said, so then you're looking at within 5 years, you spend $8,000 on a system that's now almost 20 years old. Do you want to spend that money or just replace it and get a new system? He goes, you're right, Jimmy. Just replace it. Don't even bother getting a price on the leak search or repair. Just replace this stupid thing. I said, not a problem. You know, why? Bruce and I have known each other since, gosh, I was in Boy Scouts with this kid. You know, he was a scoutmaster with me. I grew up with his daughter, so he's known me for a long time. And but yeah, so it's just one of those things. Of, he asked me to give it to him straight up front. I gave it to him. Then some customers want it like that, and he's like, yeah, just replace it. There's no sense in trying to repair something that's going to cost us more money and possibly 2 to 5 years.
Yeah, no, that's crazy. But we find out, like, we try to properly train. We have like a service tech Bible that we make them go through. They carry with them exactly how we want them to handle each and every situation, no matter what they find. So there's no gray area. Um, but we find that a lot of other companies that we get called out, they find us online, they'll see our 5-star rating and all this other stuff. And they'll say, hey, I know I have a leak. This company came out and charged up my system. They put this sealant or this dye in there. They told me that was going to fix it. Then they came back and told me it was going to cost, $2,000 to repair it. Not saying that the company, what they did was bad. They didn't explain it to the customer properly. That's why we have 3 options when it comes to leak searching. It's something proprietary we have. It's kind of trademarked, so I won't put it out there. But that way the customer knows that this is, if it's like under 2 pounds and we just charge it, we're only going to do that once. The next time it's like, hey, we have to take some step to try to find this leak. And then once we find it, then there's going to be additional repairs that could cost up to yada, yada, yada.
Yep.
So that they understand. And a lot of people, if they know that going into it, they won't invest that kind of money. They'll be like, hey, maybe I will replace it. But when people think, oh, I can spend a couple $100, I can get by, and they don't understand what you're saying, it's almost like, kind of entrapment. That they don't know what they're getting into, and they waste money before it's too late. So it gets crazy.
Yeah, I'll give you a story that goes along with that there. Commercial property, 1989, 1992, somewhere in that ballpark. Ream 10-ton split system. Okay. Massive amounts of refrigerant pipe. Now, granted, the outdoor units on the ground, the air handlers in the basement and the ceiling. Go there. System's really low on charge. So I talked to the customer, like, look, this is what we're looking at. This is what recommendations. Because I got there, the thing was was frozen solid. I said, you're low on Freon. The blower's blowing, everything's doing its job. We just let it thaw. We'll come back. We can do a leak search. Here's a price to do a leak search. We did a leak search. Evacual had multiple leaks, multiple small just leaks. When the guys went there with the leak detector, hit it with that, found the leaks, leak soaked it, and you just saw micro bubbles all over the U-bends and everything. So he asked, what's it going to cost to replace it? So the salesman came out there. We went through the cost to replace just the coil and the cost to replace the entire system. He goes, I'm trying to sell this place this year. I don't have the money to do that. I'm like, well, I have an option for you, but I can't guarantee it'll work. And he goes, well, what is it? I said, I really haven't used it, but I've talked to people, they've used it, they've had some success with it. I said, we could put this 10-ton stop leak in here, put it in, replace the valve cores, charge it with the RS-44B, because charging it with 422 is going to be twice the amount it is with that, and let it run for 2 weeks. Just keep it set for like 65 degrees. Let this thing run for 2 weeks nonstop so it can circulate this stuff, this leak stop through the coil and everything. He's like, all right. He called us. We went and did it. He called us a month later to come back and check it. We re-leak searched the systems. Kevin had marked where all the leaks were. Every single leak was stopped up, was no longer leaking. The pressures were still the same pressures they were when he started the system up. So for the customer, it worked. I was amazed. He was happy, and it saved him from having to replace the system. I'm fine. I was fine with it. I've used it on another customer's house and do squat. It's hit or miss.
And we're gonna have to close this out soon. We're getting way past on time. But real fast on that topic, some of those, they're just, people don't use them. Like, I let my guys use one, but I only use one that is oil based. We all know the only thing supposed to be in a refrigeration system is oil and refrigerant. And like there's that one like super seal, the clip light stuff. That stuff coagulates when it gets any kind of moisture. And I've seen it take out compressors. So I know they say that it seals like, former carry corrosion, like small little leaks and stuff like that. Maybe sometimes it does work. Um, but the one that like we would let the guys use, it says like it's up to 7.5 tons. And I'm like, guys, residential houses, you should only be putting in like a smidge of that. Like you don't need to put in 7.5 tons worth of fucking stuff, inside of a system. And there's a lot of guys that just misuse it. Another thing is just education. And when I'll take one of those little tubes and I can use that depending on the size of the system, 2, maybe 3 times if it's like small 2 tons and the system has more than enough in it. I'm not, clogging it up or getting a bunch of junk stuck anywhere. So sometimes they work. Sometimes our jobs are to give the options to a customer and maybe they take the option that we don't necessarily like as a professional, but that's their choice,
Yep, it's their system. You do what your customer asks you to do without jeopardizing your morals. If it's going to jeopardize your morals as a technician and as a company, that's the owner's prerogative to decide whether they're going to do something like that. That's just one thing that's not your decision as a technician. That's the owner's decision. You bring it to them. They say they want us to do this. We're not going to go out there and take a coil and go through and cut fins out and resolder stuff. That's just not something we do.
Yeah,
you want to do that as another company, that's your decision.
I agree. Yeah, we don't do that either. Has there been one-offs and stuff like that, to try to help people in certain situations? Yes, but we try not let that be like an everyday thing because normally it doesn't make sense. It's not worth the time you're putting in, and it's just not worth it. But fuck, man, we've been going for a good little bit, man. Brother, thank you for coming on as always. I love when you come on. I absolutely, this. I love what you're doing with the school and just with the HVAC Army and everything. And, I'm so glad that a school like yours exists. I'm glad they're doing that for kids, that they're learning things the right way. I hope throughout this that I get to learn about more schools doing that. But you're definitely leading the way, and I think it's fucking awesome, man.
I appreciate you having me, and I personally, I'm thinking about taking once I get through all this knee surgery stuff with my dad, take a Friday off and make a trip to Baltimore.
Come see me, my man. I'd be happy to have you. I'm saying this summer, once I finally, just so everybody, all these guys know in the chat, man, once I move into my new house and I get everything done, it'll be sometime this summer. So maybe it'll be like in the fall or I'll have to do it the following year. I am totally building out the studio. Like I'm going full fucking Joe Rogan on it. And we're going to have a big old housewarming party, man. And I'll invite a bunch of you guys down. You're more than welcome to come down and hang out. And anytime, just let me know.
Yep. And I would personally like to, one thing I'd love to do is get trade schools that are out there that need help getting their programs going. I'd love for them to reach out to me. I'd love to help them get them going. Like I said, I sent you stuff to help you out with your guys so you can keep them on their toes on stuff. I'd love to be able to go to other trade schools and say that they're struggling to get their programs going in education and help them. Real quick, Valerie with the HVAC Army, she took a teaching job. She's been teaching, so her and I had a phone call conversation for an hour one night, and she took the stuff I talked to her about on what I do, has applied it to her program, and is now actually having a tool day with Johnstone with them. And NAVAC is going to do a field visit to their school and put on a show for them with the tools from NAVAC at her school as well.
Nice. That's badass.
So I'm all about helping other trade schools out there. And her trade school, if you don't follow her on TikTok, but her TikTok handle is that HVAC chick. She posts a lot of stuff. She's doing an awesome job down there in Florida. She's down in the Tampa Bay area, Newport Richey. She is doing awesome at her trade school. And I'm so proud of her for the stuff she's doing down there.
Well, fucking get her in touch with me, man. I'd love to have her on. Let's talk about what she's doing with her school.
I will pass it along to her.
Yeah, for sure. So, all right, buddy. Have a good night. I'm gonna close this out. If you want to hang tight for a second, and then we'll get this thing closed out, my man.
Gotta get the last one more rep for Jen in here. HVAC chicks. Go
HVAC.
support her.
Yeah,
Hopefully, worthy calls right there.
there you go. All right, brother, man. Let me close this thing out real fast. Oh man, thank you guys for coming tonight, man. I appreciate it. Like I said, I'm trying to get back on track, trying to get the new normal. So far, so good. Um, between like I said, my mom and then my son's graduation in the state baseball playoffs. They lost the county championship though, 1-0. I was kind of pissed. My son didn't pitch. They were saving him, which he was kind of frustrated. But what are you gonna do? Anyway, thank you guys all for being here. Real fast, I want to say this one more time. I'm even gonna make sure you hear me with the megaphone. Guys, BLUON 2.0 is giving away free hats, all right? Need you to go over to the BLUON app and put in model number GSX HAT, the number 4U. GSX hat for you. Get yourself a free hat. At the same time, testing out the ease of use with BLUON's new 2.0. It's absolutely fucking amazing. They knocked it out of the park. Go get yourself a free hat. Let me turn this off. It's kind of annoying. Go get yourself a free hat. Only 30,000 hats to give away. They're going to go fast. There's like 150 plus thousand people in the BLUON community, not counting everybody else. The part number is in the app. So like I said, it is in, Ricky put it in the comments in the chat. Go update your app, go in, put in that model number, search, you'll see a hat pop up, and it's completely free. But you're going to go through the process just as if you were ordering a part. That's their whole point, to show you how easy it is, and then they're going to ship you out your hat. This is going to be limited edition. It's only going to be the fucking, those dudes that are going to have the hats. So come on, let's be one of those dudes or dudettes. Go get your fucking hat, all right? Guys, remember, be safe out there. We all have, forget what camera I'm looking at. We all got somebody to make it home to. We live in a crazy world. Be safe. Keep your head on a swivel. All right. Drive okay. Pay attention to what you're doing. Make sure that that breaker's turned off. If you have to pull your meter out to double check the power, so do it. Be safe. We all have somebody to make it home to. And I love seeing all of you in the comments every week. The last thing I would ever want to hear is one of my HVAC brothers and sisters, something happened to you, all right? So be safe. Remember to do the little things, man. Set yourself apart from the next guy or girl, all right? Try to help somebody. I challenge all of you, like what Jimmy and the HVAC Army said they were doing, and like a lot of other people and a lot of us are trying to do, is give back to the community, help somebody else. Put positivity in the world. That's what you're going to get back. Don't be negative. We all have bad days. Try to build people up, man. Let's give back to this industry that we all love so much, enough to go watch some dude on a podcast. You know what I mean? So, and remember, always try to be better. There's always ways to learn, whether it's school, online classes, podcasts, videos, whatever it is. Master your fucking craft. Be the best you can possibly be. Always give it 100%. If you're not going to do it 100% of your ability, then just don't fucking do it. All right? And then I challenge all of you to post your stuff on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. Show your work. Put it out there. Show people that you're one of them people building people up, doing things the right way. I'm not saying you got to be an influencer, but just show that you're one of them people doing things the right way. You're not taking shortcuts. All right? Thank all you guys, man. If I didn't mention you by name in the comments, I apologize. Thank all of you for coming here, man. I really, really do appreciate you guys. I'm trying to have some big giveaways coming up. I know I haven't done one in a little bit. I've been a little behind. You guys know I got a lot going on, but I will do a giveaway here soon and try to give away some big stuff. All right. Thank you, as always, to my moderators that were in here. Mr. Rookie, thank you, brother. I appreciate you. He's always here in the chat. Doing all the behind-the-scenes stuff for me each and every week. Thank you, buddy. I appreciate you. And then Mr. Adrian was in here. Reliable HVACR, another moderator. I think they were the only two in here tonight besides... I think that was it. I'm not sure. But thank you all for being here. Appreciate you. Have a happy fucking hump day. Enjoy the rest of it. Have a great week. And I'll talk with you mofos next week. And next week. Jesus Christ. Next week, Wednesday. Goodbye.
Thanks for listening to the HVAC Uncensored Podcast. Don't forget to check us out on Facebook and Instagram, or email us anytime at hvacuncensored@gmail.com. Now, get back to work. Shut this down. The views and opinions shared on the HVAC Uncensored Podcast may not necessarily be the views and opinions of our sponsors or guests.